Welcome to your restorative session. Today in our practice, we're working with lateral movements in the body, opening into side stretches through quite a few of our movements. And when we do this, we're letting the body open up to release the things that aren't serving us energetically, creating space to bring other elements into our lives that will be more nourishing to our systems. Hope you enjoy. Now, we've had a big week again. I'm getting very bored with having to say that all the time. I think we've been wading through a lot of emotions, a lot of heaviness, and I thought today in our practice we might take the opportunity to let go of some of those things energetically. So in this class, we're going to be working with lateral movements in the body, which is side stretches. And when we do those, it energetically gives us the opportunity to lean into the ama, into the things that aren't serving us, and bring our awareness to them so that they're not just sitting there as unknowns. You know, we're really acknowledging them and looking them in the eye and then letting them start to dissipate from the body. And when we do that, of course, we're opening up space to welcome other things in, to welcome positivity, to welcome optimism, and to welcome gratitude as well for the things that are going well in our lives at the moment. So, as always, let's begin lying down. If you're using a bolster today, you might like that underneath your legs. And today let's come into a reclining butterfly pose with the support of your bolster or pillow under your legs. We'll bring the soles of the feet together, resting on top of the bolster, and let the knees drop open wide. Let's bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the tummy. Closing your eyes or softening your gaze now. Just taking a moment to arrive for your practice. Letting go of any distracting thoughts, concerns, or to-do lists. Pressing the pause button on absolutely everything. And giving yourself this time to be completely present for your practice. Right here and right now. Aware of all the points of contact that your body is making with the floor right now. Finding gratitude for the space that holds you today, for your home, for your comforts, for the roof over your head. And then letting your attention meander through your body now. Allowing yourself to become aware of places that are holding tension, tightness, fatigue. Or you might just sense a certain gripping in the body that you can't quite put a label to. Acknowledging where you're feeling these things. And also acknowledging the places in your body that seem a little quiet right now, or that might be feeling vibrant, spacious, and open. Acknowledging that opposites are always present in the body, always present in our lives. Welcoming everything about how you are physically, just as it is right now. And becoming a witness to your breathing now. Noticing the air moving in through your nose and out through your nose. The coolness of the in-breath And noticing a little warmth in the breath as it leaves you. Noticing how deeply you're breathing and noticing the texture of your breath. Without judging or criticizing any aspect of how your breath is right now, welcoming it as it is. And then taking your next inhalation into the center of your chest, expanding your breath to the sides, the back and front, upwards and downwards. Meeting that natural pause at the top of your inhalation. And then starting to exhale, drawing inwards and upwards through the body as you let go of the breath. Meeting the pause at the end of your exhalation. Breathing in again right into the center of your chest, taking your breath in every direction. Finding the pause at the top of your inhalation. And then starting to exhale again, drawing inwards and upwards through the body as you let go of the breath and anything that no longer serves you, carried by the breath. Meeting the pause at the end of your exhalation again. And we'll continue to breathe it this way through our practice today. Putting your attention on this conscious 4-part breathing pattern. Aware, of course, of the movement of air in and out of your lungs, but also being present right there in the little pauses in between. These places where we get to drop into quiet and stillness, allowing us to start to slow the breathing down, allowing us to quieten a busy mind, to soothe the nervous system, and to connect to a felt sense of sattva, harmony, balance, equilibrium through the body, the mind, and the spirit. Taking a moment now to just acknowledge what you're holding this morning in the way of amma, in the way of things that aren't serving you. Maybe it's sadness, grief, frustration. Maybe it's a sense of disconnection or loneliness. Acknowledging all these things are present, whatever they might be. Looking them in the eye and acknowledging you see them as they are. And that they're not serving you. Willingly and happily setting the intention to let some of this stuff go. Creating space in your system for positivity, for joy, for hope. Let's breathe in now and take your arms all the way overhead, letting the back of your hands rest on the floor. And if your shoulders are a little tight this morning, you might take your arms wider, or even if you prefer, you can have them directly out from the side of the body. However your arms are positioned, just feeling the coolness, the floor against your hands, against any points of contact that your body is making with the earth. Aware of the little space between the lower back and the floor. Being in the tiniest of back bends right now. Just opening up in length. Take an inhalation here. And then when you exhale, let's release the hands back by the side of the body and also bring the knees together. Inhale, taking your arms overhead or wide, dropping the knees open again, soles of the feet together. And as you exhale, engaging the abdominal wall, bringing the hands back by the side of the body, bringing the knees together. Continuing like this, led by your breath, seeing if you might be able to begin the movement of your breath before the body starts to move, and finish the breath after your body has finished the movement. So we're completely encasing the movement in breath. Taking one more round. And when you come back to that knees together position again, we'll meet there. And let's outstretch the arms wide now. Lift your feet up and off your bolster. And then let's drop the knees over to the right side, resting your feet on the bolster. You might choose to gaze towards the ceiling, or you might like to gaze towards the left, but just check in with your neck. See what's feeling okay for you this morning. Lengthening out to the ends of your fingertips and inviting your left shoulder a little closer to the earth. And as you're breathing in, really accessing the left side of the rib cage a little more, seeing if you can explore the space between each of your ribs, opening the breath up just a little bit more. Every exhale, beginning right at the base of the pelvic floor, sensing the hip points drawing together and the bottom ribs coming together as you let the breath go. And expansive and full as you breathe in again. When you're ready, find your way back to center again. And then let's drop the knees over to the left side now. Resting the feet on the bolster again, choosing whether you might direct your gaze to the right or directing your gaze to the ceiling. See what feels better for your neck. Lengthening out to the ends of the fingertips of both hands and inviting your right shoulder a little closer to the earth. And then exploring the right side of your ribcage a little more. Moving into the spaces between each rib as you breathe in. And as you're exhaling, again, sensing the hip points coming together, the bottom ribs coming together, letting all of your breath go. When you're ready, find your way back to center again. Let's lift the feet off the bolster now, taking the hands over the knees. Inhale, send your knees and your feet away, the fingertips following the knees. Begin your exhale and bring your knees into your chest. Send the knees and the feet away as you breathe in. Begin your exhale, bringing the knees into the chest. Again, let's get that sense of wrapping the movement in breath, beginning to breathe before beginning to move, and letting the movement finish and then the breath finish after that. Taking one more round. And then let's take the bolster out, popping that to the side for a minute. And we'll lengthen out down the middle of the mat. So just checking where you are on the mat now. You might spread your fingers out either side of your thighs, and if you're not quite in the middle, bringing yourself there now, preparing for banana pose. So let's now lift the head and the shoulders up. We're going to bring these to the right edge of the mat, leaving the hips in the middle nice and even. And then if you want to, you can bring your feet over to the right edge as well. If that's too much of a movement for you today, if that brings up any discomfort in your hip, you're welcome to leave your legs in the middle, of course. Now, with your feet at the side, you might like to rest your left foot on your right ankle, or perhaps it's more comfortable to just let the feet be side by side. Just see what feels best. We can either leave the left hand as it is, or you can take it out to the side of the body. You might even trace the floor overhead with your fingertips. And then let's give the head a little movement so we can position the neck comfortably. Inch the fingers of your right hand towards your right knee. And just checking in now with the left shoulder. If it's lifting off the mat or it wants to lift off the mat, you might just lower that arm a little until you can weight the shoulders a bit more evenly. Coming into whatever version of banana pose is serving you best today. Opening up the side body. As you're breathing in again, allowing yourself to kind of meander with your mind's eye into the spaces between each rib. Seeing if you can just create a little more room in the rib cage to breathe. And letting the breath go in that smooth and measured way where we're really calling on the midline of the body, drawing inwards and upwards as the breath leaves you. Opening up the side body to let armor go, to let some of these things that we touched base with at the beginning of the session start to dissipate. Acknowledging what we're holding that doesn't serve us. And by letting some of these things go, we are creating space energetically to invite the opposite, to find more positivity, to find more gratitude, more joy in our days. When you're ready, you can lower your arm back down if that's in the mix. We'll bring the feet back to the middle of the mat now. And then last of all, the head and the shoulders come back to the middle, closing your eyes, meandering through each side of the body now, just acknowledging how left side, how right side feels. Noticing the differences between the two. Perhaps holding a sense of vibrancy in the left side with a sense of quietness in the right side, these opposites being in play in the body all the time. Knowing we can hold both things, and we can also lean into one or the other, depending on what we put our attention on. And let's take banana pose to the other side now. So lifting the head and the shoulders, bringing these to the left edge of the mat. And the pelvis stays neutral in the middle. You might choose to leave your feet as they are if this is enough of a stretch for you. Or you can walk your feet to the left edge of the mat. You might choose to leave them side by side, or perhaps rest the right foot on top of the left ankle. Pelvis nice and even. And with your right hand, that might stay as it is, or it might go out to the side, or you might trace the floor overhead with your fingertips. A little movement for your head, just to position your neck comfortably, and then inch the fingers of the left hand towards the left knee. Let's check in on the right shoulder now. If it's lifting or it wants to lift, we could lower the right arm down to weight the shoulders evenly. Allowing yourself to find the appropriate version of banana pose for yourself today. Sensing into the amma that you're holding, the heaviness that you might let go of, willingly and happily breathing this stuff out of your system, acknowledging that it doesn't serve you, and creating space for some things that will. When you're ready, you can release the right arm if that's in the mix. And then we'll bring the feet back to the middle of the mat. Last of all, the head and the shoulders to the middle of the mat, just stopping here. Closing your eyes. And then being with the left side of the body, the right side of the body. Noticing what's present now. Perhaps something has changed just by bringing your breath, your focus, and your discipline to your practice without forcing anything. In your own time, bend your knees and let's roll over to the right side now, creating a little support for your head with your bent right arm. And when we support the head this way, rather than letting the head just rest on the mat, we're giving the neck a lot more comfort, but we're also establishing more of a neutral spine position. So let's start by just noticing what you're doing with your feet right now. If they're forward of the body or if they're behind the body, let's position the feet in such a way that they feel like they're in line with the hips. Stacking up the knees and the ankles and allowing your left hand just to rest on the floor in front of your tummy at the moment. We're going to lift the waist off the floor now, creating just the tiniest bit of space between the waist and the floor, so the whole spine is in a neutral position. Let's take the left hand to the left hip. When you breathe in next, let's open the left knee towards the ceiling, keeping the big toes together as you do this. And then when you exhale, we're going to bring the knee back down to meet the right one in clam pose. So breathing in, opening the left knee towards the ceiling, keeping the big toes together. Start to breathe out and then bring the left knee down to meet the right one. Keeping the waist off the floor. Now it's very, very easy to do this in a way that isn't mindful, that is just doing the action of opening the knee out wide and back again. But it's a lot more of a discipline to move with your breath and to move with that sense of measure and smoothness, wrapping the breath around the movement, aiming to keep the spine neutral and just monitoring the position of the pelvis too with your left hand as it rests there. Taking one more round of clam pose. And then letting the body rest now, releasing the waist to the floor, just settling in. And then roll over to the other side. Setting up in clam for this side. So again, supporting your head with your arm so the neck is in a neutral position. Let's just again pay attention to where your feet are. We want to line them up with the hips, stacking the ankles, the knees and the hips really evenly. And let's take the right hand on top of the right hip now. Lifting the waist off the floor so we're just aware of that tiny bit of space there and aware of the spine being in a neutral position. When you're ready, breathe in and send your right knee towards the ceiling, so keeping the big toes together again. Begin to breathe out and then lower your right knee to meet the left one. And in our clam pose, this doesn't have to be a broad, sweeping action. It can be really, really tiny. It's a very potent movement that we're making when we do it mindfully. And the aim in the movement is to be as smooth and as measured as you can. Keeping the waist off the floor. Taking one more round. And then letting the body rest again. Taking a moment to let things settle. Let's come up onto hands and knees now. Coming into cat pose. So let's take a moment to place ourselves well, softening into the elbows. So we're looking after the shoulders. Let's change the direction of your gaze so that the neck feels like it's more in line with the rest of the spine, squaring off the collarbones to the top end of the mat and drawing the belly in towards the backbone. Let's breathe in here in cat. And then as you exhale, move to cow pose, tucking the chin and tailbone under. Return to cat again. This time lift your gaze. On your exhale, move to child's pose. Let all of your breath go there. Bringing the chin into the chest. Return to cat again, breathing in. Moving to cow pose as you exhale. Return to cat, lifting the gaze, breathing in. And then leading on to child's pose as you breathe out. Continuing cat-cow, cat-child, wrapping the breath around the movement. And the next time you arrive in your child's pose, let's meet there. Take your knees a little wider in your child's pose. Let's bring the big toes together. And you can either rest your head on the floor, or if you're using a block or a little cushion today, you might rest your head down on your block instead. Opening up the breath into the back of the body, breathing into the side ribs, exploring the space between each and every rib, inviting just a little more movement through all aspects of the rib cage. In your own time, let's now walk the hands towards the left side. And you might rest your head down upon the upper arm, the right upper arm, or you might rest your head on the floor. See what feels comfortable for you. Opening up through the side body on the right side again. Staying as even as you can through the pelvis and just coaxing the tailbone a little closer to the earth. So there is that sense of lengthening through the back of the body as well as opening up through the side body. Willingly and happily breathing some of these heavy things out of your system that don't serve you. Letting them go. Find your way back to center again. And then let's walk the hands towards the right side this time. So you might rest your head on the floor, or you might rest your head on your upper arm. Opening up through the left side of the body, even through the pelvis. Coaxing the tailbone towards the earth. Breathing into the back of the body, into the side of the ribs. Happily, willingly letting go. Creating space. And then find your way back to center again. Let's walk the hands back towards the knees, and we'll breathe in now. Come all the way up onto your knees, taking your arms overhead. As you exhale, take a twist towards the left, opening the arms out wide, pressing down through the air. Raise your arms up again, breathing in. And then twisting towards the right now, pressing through the air. Raise the arms up overhead, taking Anjali over the crown. And then drawing the hands to the heart, just stopping there. Closing your eyes, softening your shoulders. And imagining some of these things that are weighing down on you just sliding off your shoulders. Like you're covered in Teflon. Letting them go and making space. Release the hands by the side of the body now. We're going to set up for gate pose. So let's take the right leg out to the side. Now, some people find it comfortable to direct the foot forward. You might like a 45-degree angle in the foot. Some other people like to have a 90-degree angle in the foot. None of that really matters. What does matter is that if you're feeling any tightness through the inner thigh, that you give your knee a little bit of a bend to release that. And we want to be able to put the 3 points of support down in that right foot. So under the big toe, under the pinky and under the heel. So just placing that in a way that feels best for you. And then pressing down into the left knee, really making that strong connection with the earth there and the top of the left foot. And then perhaps closing your eyes now to really sense the shoulders floating above the ribs over the hips, lengthening up through the midline of the body before we take any movement at all. And when you're ready, let's breathe in and raise your arms high. As you exhale, reach out to the right side, finding length to the ends of the fingertips of the left hand. Return to center as you breathe in, find that long neutral spine. And then let's reach out to the left side. Coming back to center, breathing in, lining everything up again. And then reaching out to the right side. So when we're taking gate pose, it's so important that we are really grounded in our foundations and that we do return to absolute center in between the movements from side to side. Solid and strong in everything that holds us. And when you come back to the right side next time, we're going to hold there for a little bit. And as we hold, let's press down into the left knee and the left foot, pressing into the 3 points of support in the right foot, and then opening up space between the hip and the armpit on the left side. Bringing your attention again to some of these things that you're happily and willingly letting go of today. Breathing them out, letting them go. Return to center when you're ready. And then let's float the arms down. Bring the right leg in. And then we'll set up on the other side. So sending your left leg out to the side. Again, choosing whether you might have your foot facing directly out, forward, or somewhere in the middle. And it might be that on this side it feels quite different to the other. So just letting that be what it is. Again, a little bend in the knee if that's helpful, if you're feeling tension through the inner thigh. Pressing into the 3 points of support in that left foot, pressing down with the right knee and the top of the right foot. And then just taking a moment to mindfully arrange your spine. Sensing the shoulders floating over the ribs over the hips, nice and even. Breathe in now and raise your arms up. When you breathe out, reach out to the left side. Return to center, breathing in. And then let's move to the right. Moving from side to side, coming to absolute evenness before coming into the lateral stretch. When you arrive on the left side again, we're going to hold there. Pressing down with the right knee and the top of the right foot. Pressing into the 3 points of support of your left foot and lengthening out through the side of the body on the right, finding a little more space between the hip and the armpit, letting go of these things that aren't serving you. Come back to center again as you breathe in next. And then let's float the arms down, bringing your left leg in and sitting back down on your heels. Now, if it's uncomfortable for you to be sitting directly on your heels and you have your bolster or your pillow handy, it can be a little more comfortable for some people to pop that there. And let's support the feet and the knees with something soft if you have that to hand as well. So again, let's really lengthen up. The crown over the heart over the tailbone over the earth. Breathe in and raise your arms high. And as you exhale, let's take a twist towards the right side, wrapping the arms around the body. Closing your eyes now, sensing into your neck. If you're feeling tension in your neck, let your chin drift, because we're moving into the twist from the very middle of your spine, underneath the rib cage. So we're not leading with the head and the neck. And if there's tension present in the neck, you might even imagine that your head is just floating above the torso. That all the action of moving into the twist is about the torso and not about the neck. Letting the head just float. Bring your arms high again, breathing in, returning to center. And as you exhale this time, we'll twist towards the left, wrapping the arms around the body again. Closing your eyes, sensing into the neck, freeing the neck up to be able to let the chin drift if there's tension present. Moving into the shape from the space underneath the rib cage. Raise the arms high, breathing in. And then floating the arms down as you breathe out. And now let's send the legs forward. And we want to have the feet flexed for this, so we're getting engagement through the back of the legs. We'll bend the left leg now. Bring your foot to the outside of the right leg. So it might be somewhere near the calf, it might be up near the knee or at the thigh. See what feels best for you. We're going to take opposite hand to knee. And again, just starting by lengthening up through the spine, finding that lovely long neutral spine position. Inhale now and raise your left arm up. As you exhale, send the arm behind the body, and we're going to twist towards the left. Now you might be gazing towards your left shoulder, or again, if there's tension in the neck, let the chin drift. Continue to move into the shape from the middle of the spine. Pressing into the earth, letting all these anchor points that you're making with the earth hold you. Following your exhalations into this twisting shape. Letting the eyes be soft. The name of this pose is actually cow face pose, and I love that name because cows have such beautiful, big, soft brown eyes. I don't think that's any coincidence. Return back to center again. Let's untangle the legs and we'll bring the right one over the left this time. So choosing whether your foot might be down near your thigh or down near your calf rather, or up near your thigh or somewhere in the middle. Opposite hand to knee again. Breathe in, raise your right arm up this time. And then send that arm behind the body, twisting towards the right. You might gaze towards the right shoulder. You might release your neck if you like. Moving from the middle of the spine into the shape. Following your breath. And let's keep that left foot flexed so we are experiencing that engagement through the back of the left leg. Find your way back to center again. Untangle the legs. And then let's take the bolster again. We're going to rest the bolster across the thighs now. Breathe in, raise your arms high. As you exhale, let's hinge from the hips, sending the heart towards the thighs. And then when you feel your back wants to round, letting it do so, letting your hands rest either on your bolster or your legs. You might soften your knees a little more. Coming into our supported Paschimottanasana, our forward fold. Perhaps bringing a little movement to your head, easing out any tension in the neck and shoulders, and just melting into this shape. Nice and gently now walking the hands back up the legs. And then let's come onto the back now. Bending the knees. And setting up in desk pose. So finding a little separation between your feet now. Pressing evenly into the 3 points of support in both feet. And then let's inhale, lift the hips and the chest into the air. Take your arms overhead or wide. Breathe out there. And then as you're breathing in, rolling down through the spine, little by little, releasing to the floor. Breathe out there. Breathe in, lift the hips and the chest into the air, taking the arms overhead or wide. Breathe out there. And then breathe in, rolling down, vertebra by vertebra, back to the floor. Breathe out there. Continuing with this, taking a full round of breath in each part of desk pose, an inhalation and an exhalation. making this one your final round. And then lifting your feet up off the mat. We'll finish with Apanasana now. So hands on top of the knees. Inhale, send your knees and your feet away. Begin to breathe out and bring your knees into the chest. Maybe adding your arms into the mix if you want to, or just moving with your legs. Maybe taking your arms wide. See what feels right for you today as you take the shape. Wrapping the movement in the breath. Taking one more round of Apanasana. And then let's send the legs into the air, just having a little happy baby now before we settle into relaxation. So taking a hold of your feet or your ankles or maybe the back of your calves or your thighs. Separating the feet out, flattening the back into the earth, lengthening up through the back of the neck and drawing the shoulders down. Each exhalation, letting go of all of your breath, letting go of some of the heaviness you're holding, breathing it out of your system, creating space. And we'll prepare for relaxation when you're ready. Let's get the bolster again. This time, have it a little higher up the legs. We're taking supported butterfly pose again, so the soles of the feet together and the knees dropped wide. But rather than the feet being on top of the bolster, this time the bolster is supporting your thighs. And we'll take one hand to the heart, one hand to the tummy again. You might like to use your eye pillow if you have one to hand. Letting go of our physical practice and letting go of guiding the breathing now. The body just breathing itself. And perhaps acknowledging being breathed by something external to yourself as well. That life itself is breathing into you. And you're receiving. Feeling all the points of contact that your body is making with the floor right now. Held in this safe space where you are. And grateful for that. And as you lie here resting, perhaps imagining heavy, dark blankets that might be sitting in layers on top of your body, weighing you down. And each time you're breathing out, allowing one of those layers to be lifted, to be folded up and put by the side of your mat. As you let some of these things that aren't serving you be lifted from your energy body. And as these layers of heaviness leave you, becoming aware too of sheets of the finest, softest silk layered upon you as well. Each one a beautiful color, a beautiful luster, fine, smooth and light. Allowing yourself to be wrapped now in these layers of blessings, of wisdom, and layers of love sent to you from the people who matter most to you. Cocooned in these layers of fine, vibrant, beautiful silk. Resting there. And in the state of deep relaxation, finding gratitude towards yourself for having taken time today to practice yoga. Doing something nourishing and restorative just for you. And finding gratitude too for being in a healthy and agile body. Able to breathe and move freely. To live where we do. And be able to make all the choices you can about the life you want to live. Deepening your breathing again. And giving your fingers and toes a little wriggle now. Taking a long stretch through the body when you're ready. And then rolling over to the right side. Taking a few moments there. And in your own time, finding your way to a comfortable seated position to finish the class. Let's meet with the right hand on the heart, the left hand touching the earth in front of you. Feeling connected to your foundations, to everything that holds you steady, strong, and supported in your life. Feeling connected to your own heart, to your emotions, to the cascade of feelings that run through your system day in, day out. Giving yourself the opportunity to be discerning today, choosing what you're going to hold on to and what you're happy to let go of. Using your sense of vidya, of clear seeing, to happily and willingly let go of what doesn't serve you and to invite more positivity, hope, joy, and optimism into your day. Being discerning with your feelings, with your perceptions today. Bring the hands to the center of the forehead now, inviting inspiration, creativity, and wonder into our thoughts. Bring the hands to the throat, inviting kindness, gratitude into all of our words today. And hands to the heart center as a reminder to move through all of our days with our hearts wide open, receptive to everything nourishing and beautiful in our world. We'll close our practice now by chanting the sound of Om wherever we might be, opening the arms wide as we breathe in and hands to the heart as we chant. Om. Thank you for practicing with me today. Take care now. Namaste.